I was struggling. I was in a really bad place.
I found out that I wasn't legally married.
My feelings had died out and I was just suffering in that relationship.
Islamically, he already gave me the 3 talaqs.
I was desperate to get divorced, so Jav's helped us out a lot.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to a brand new show presented by myself, Javaid Iqbal, on British Muslim TV, and we will be discussing everything marriage matters. This show is brand new, and let me just put this out there now. There's going to be things on this show that you've not seen live before on a lot of channels. In fact, any channels. We are going to be discussing everything related to marriage, relationships, divorce that is affecting our community. That's both the Muslim community and other communities, South Asian communities, all the Muslim communities. That's what we're going to be discussing. Every week, we're going to have some live guests who are going to be telling us their story. Brave people who have come on the show, who are going to come on the show and going to tell us their story. We'll also be having an expert guest who's going to be discussing things with us in relation to both law and, let's say, psychological effects of marriage, divorce, children matters, absolutely everything. So this is not a show where it's going to be dry and we're going to talk about little things here and there. No, we're going all out and we're talking about things that other channels, A, are refusing to talk about, and B, that you guys are talking about in the community. This is very, very pertinent, hot button topics. Now, today, on my very first show, we have a guest, a very brave guest, a very brave sister, Saira, who's decided to join us, who's going to tell us her story, and I'm going to just be discussing that with her. Saira, you there?
Hey, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How you doing? You okay?
I'm all right. I'm good, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very, very much for joining us. I know it's not easy sometimes, but I salute your bravery. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jav. Anything for you?
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So let's start off, Saira, is you had an arranged marriage and a subsequent divorce. Now, what we're trying to discuss today, and the topic for today is, this is the bit I'm not getting, Saira, and hopefully your sort of experience and what you've been through is going to sort of guide me through this, is we're the only major religion in the world, Islam, that has a prescription for divorce. It says you can get divorced. There is talaq there. There is a khula there. But in our communities and to a degree within our religious sort of circles, divorce is still considered a dirty word. It's still considered shameful. Now, what I wanted to ask you is, when you decided to get a divorce, when you thought, okay, I've had enough, I don't want to live with my husband, putting them reasons to aside, what else did you have to think about that maybe people of a different religion, of a different community, maybe they don't have to think about? So did you have to think about, what is my family going to say? What is my auntie going to say? What is my uncle who lives in 3,000 miles west of wherever, who I've never met, but somehow he's going to have an influence on me and he's going to have a judgment on me? What is he going to think? What did you have to think before you actually applied for the divorce?
Well, obviously, being a British Muslim, I didn't know that I could get a divorce, and I was living in that lifestyle. And I had to think about what my parents were going to think, what family. And when family get involved, it's what neighbours think, what other people think. You know, no one actually looks at what you're actually going through. It's what everyone else is going to think. And I think you have to understand that for you to be a better mother, be a better role model for your kids, you have to get away from that negativity, because it's wrong. If I kept going on thinking about what other people are going to think, I would have been in my grave by now, which I was not going to do.
Right, okay. But in terms of the pressure, how much of what other people were going to think, or what your family or the community at large were going to think, how much of that did have a bearing on whether you were going to ultimately go for the divorce or not? Because the problem we have sometimes, in my experience certainly, is people, when they go for the divorce, it might be that both parties agree that there needs to be divorce. But, and this is a big but here, and maybe you can obviously shed some light on it, is neither party wants to be the first to instigate the divorce, because people will turn around and say, oh, she did it, he did it, they should have waited. So that kind of pressure, was that something that you had to think about before you actually took any steps?
Well, yeah, there was a sense of that. But I guess in my case, I got so sick of the life that I was in, and I was in a big hole, Jav, and I was in a big hole. I was killing myself in that lifestyle. I sort of overcame it. I tried to solve the problem, but it never worked. I overcame the fact that I'm not going to be able to please people. I'm not living my life for my uncles, my sister, my brothers, you know, family members or his family members. I've been living that life, and it just came to a point where I gave up. I said, no, this is it. I can do better for my kids and for myself. And it was the best decision I made. It was difficult. I'm not going to lie. It was really difficult. But obviously I had your support and things just turned out right for me. It was the best decision I made.
And what was the impact in terms of the way the community, and I use that word very advisedly in the sense that community is traditionally there to support you, but we know on these kind of occasions, usually the community either falls on this side of the fence or that side of the fence. And what was the impact of the community on you, or how did their view of you change, or your, let's say, your families, your immediate families, your uncle, aunties, your sort of community? How did they then view you once you decided to take this step?
Well, obviously I became the wrong person for divorcing her husband. No one actually takes the time out to ask, Sarah, what actually happened? What did you go through for those 15 years? Nobody actually bothered. You get judged, oh, it's a Muslim woman who's divorced her husband and she's a divorcee now, you know? No one actually thinks to say, what happened to Sarah? Why is she going through that? We should support her. No, that's a Muslim woman who's disgraced her culture, who's disgraced us, or, you know, just whatever. She's like, I'm looked down upon because I'm a divorcee now, but it doesn't, I'm just over it. I don't live to please people.
But and I understand you're from quite a strict background, a very conservative, let's say, background. You're in terms of ethnicity, it's very conservative. Now, why do you think, and I ask this not just from you, I ask this of the audience, I ask of everybody watching, why is it we look down upon divorce when it's prescribed in the religion, when two people have decided that we no longer want to stay in this marriage, and they've decided amongst themselves a lot of the times? Why is it still a shameful word? Why is it still regarded as a dirty word that you can't get divorced? Why do you, and having lived in that community quite obviously extensively, you were married to obviously somebody from a very conservative community. Why do you think that is still there? Why is that still prevalent in this day and age in 2022?
Do you know what it is, Jav? Even when I decided to get a divorce, I didn't know I could.
When you say you could, when you say you didn't know you could, do you mean legally or Islamically, or you were not aware of your rights?
Islamically, I did not know that I could get a divorce. For the things that had happened to me in my life with my partner at the time, I could have got a divorce very early on, and I didn't know. I was never told about my rights as a Muslim woman.
Okay.
So I didn't know that I could get a divorce.
So do you think
it was yourself who told me I could get a divorce Islamically?
But do you think that is a lack of education? Is it lack of community cohesion? Is it just the community is so insular, they keep themselves to themselves, everybody's in their own little sort of, you know, huddle, and we're not branching out, even though it's 2022 and a lot of things happen in the wider world? Why is it still now is considered still a shameful act to get a divorce when we know women like yourself? I mean, you're lucky in that degree that obviously you got out of this marriage, you did what you had to do, but there's women out there who are still stuck in this rut. Absolutely. And what would you say to them? If they're watching tonight, what do you want to say to these women as someone who's been through that?
I wouldn't say to those women, never listen to what family members or even your close friends say to you about what your rights are as a Muslim woman. You should take the time to get a Quran and read the Quran. You can get an English translated Quran if you don't understand Arabic. I don't understand Arabic. I can read it, but I don't know what it means. And that's the problem. You go by hearing what someone else is telling you and believe it. You know, you should always learn for yourself and get the knowledge yourself and make a decision upon that.
So, I mean,
what's halal and what's haram in a marriage, in a relationship where you're supposed to trust that the other person is telling you the truth, which may not be true. So get the knowledge yourself. You can divorce as a Muslim woman.
And do you think family-wise, what's been the impact of your family, i.e. your sort of parents, your siblings, uncles and aunties? What's their view of you now, having been the one who started the divorce, who instigated the divorce, and who pushed through it, with knowing full well that maybe the husband didn't want to go through a divorce? What's the community view been on you now?
Well, yeah, he didn't want to go through it, but his true colours have already come out. And my family, well, obviously we're not a tight-knit family, but...
Right, but Sarah, we have to be careful, because remember, he's not here to defend himself, so...
No, that's fine.
We've got to...
That's fine. I'm just saying my part of it, which is...
If the brother wants to ring in, he's more than free. Sorry, Sarah, just if he wants to ring in, if your husband wants to call in, obviously you're not speaking to him. If he wants to call in to defend himself, you're more than welcome. I'll speak to you any day of the week. You're more than welcome to call in. But at the moment, obviously, we've got to hear Sarah's story. But he is free to call in. I'm just putting that out there.
No, that's fine, Jav. That's absolutely fine. But
interest of fairness and justice, as they say.
I know. It's fine. It's fine. But it's one of those things that I have sort of made that decision, and I didn't give my family the opportunity to say, well, don't do this. They had their points to say, but I already was fixed on my decision, and I went through with it, and I'm at the happiest I've ever been. And
how are they with you now? Is the relationship, would you say, better or worse post-marriage, pre-marriage with your family?
Better.
It's better now, yeah?
Definitely better.
But at the time of you deciding to get divorced, did it go downhill or did they support you?
Oh, a whole tornado. It was a whole tornado, Jav.
It went completely downhill. And why was that?
That was because, oh my God, my daughter's getting a divorce. Everyone's going to call her. She's, she's had a talaq now.
It's that shame factor again in the community. Yeah, it's the shame factor in the community. It's like, we've got a divorced daughter, like, and I always say, divorce is there, whether it's a son or a daughter, divorce is a divorce. But like I said, our community is still there. Sarah, stay there. We're going to come back to you after the break. Okay. So after the break, we're going to carry on talking to Sarah, and we will see you shortly after the break.
Okay, dog.
Thanks to everybody on Facebook who's also watching. Message, you got the numbers down here. There. And we have some people who said they want to be part of the show. Deborah, Sister Maya, all of you, you're more than welcome. Messages. This is your platform. Come on, tell us your stories. Tell us what your experiences are. We're here to listen. We're here to guide. This is revolutionary what we're doing today and what we're going to carry on doing in the Muslim space. We'll see you after the break. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Marriage Matters. This is our first show. We were talking to Sarah with regards to her experiences and what she'd been through, and we're going to carry on talking to Sarah now as well. Just to let you guys know out there, this is a brand new show. It's pretty revolutionary in terms of what we're talking about, in terms of the topics, in terms of everything that we discuss here. This is what we call a safe space. So if you want to take part in the show, tell us your story, what you've gone through, how you coped, how you basically moved on from there, anything. You can come on your own, you can come with your spouse. It doesn't matter. If you're going through any marital issues, or you're going through anything like that, you want to come on the show, get in touch with us, and we'll try to have you on the show as soon as we can. We're still live on Facebook. We're live on across all the platforms. So do take part, do join in, send us your messages, send us the WhatsApp on the number that's on the screen, and we'll definitely try to sort of read out any messages or any questions that you're going to have. So Sarah, getting back to yourself. What I was going to say to you now is where you are now compared to where you were a couple of years ago or before you got sort of divorced now. Are some members of the community, some people out there, certain sections, let's say, will class you as a divorced woman, and I use this word advisedly, a tainted woman that our community sometimes uses. Yeah. So what would you say to them people who call you tainted, or people who say, well, you're just all you are is just a divorced woman now and nothing else?
Well, to be honest, I'm still a woman. I'm still a Muslim woman. I still have a life. I have priorities, and my children are my priorities. And I'm not a bad person. It's life. People go through divorce. Everyone has their own reasons. And I think rather than saying stuff like that, be supportive and actually try to make someone understand if you are feeling that there's like there's an elderly person who's saying that to you, try to make them understand that you don't know what that person's gone through. Maybe try to, it's a difficult one because not everyone will understand, but I'm still a person, I'm still a human being, I'm still a Muslim, and there's not wrong with that. And I haven't done no wrong because it is there, black and blue, in the Quran that I can have a divorce if that would be last resort, which had to be done.
Right, no, completely agree, and we support you. And obviously, like I said, we salute your courage, your dignity, and what you've been through, and how you've obviously come out of it. And now, obviously, you're on this show, you're talking to us live, you are in a much better position. But, and you will agree with this, there are women out there, men as well, believe it or not. You know, there's men, women out there who are not in the position. They're not in the same position as you. What would you say to them to get them to instigate something, or to get them to basically get them into the same position as you, to say, listen, obviously you were scared, you weren't sure, community was against you, family was against you, but you took that step. What support, what help, or what words of advice or of encouragement would you give to them?
I think in my own experience, I did try my best to make the partner understand what was right, what was wrong, how I felt, talking about it to them, trying to make them understand, trying to make it work, definitely. And if needs be, if that can't happen, then for a woman, you do have the right to go through the Kula process and get a divorce. It will be daunting, it will be scary. It was the scariest thing I ever done. But I think when a person is at that final step and is ready to give up on life because of all of it, they will sort of see and realize that it needs to be done, and they will get the courage at the end. It was very scary, I'm not going to lie. But I think definitely you need to have the yaqida and the faith that it's not wrong and you can do it. Both men and women, I would say, try and make it work. If it works, it works. If not, there's always that option there, and there's no wrong with it. Like I said, it's in the Quran, so have faith in yourself, have faith in Allah, and things will get better.
Brilliant, brilliant. I mean, they're just inspiring, inspirational words from you, who obviously has been through this, has come out with your dignity, everything intact. We're getting loads and loads of comments on Facebook and WhatsApp, and everything's just buzzing at the moment. Heidi has just commented on Facebook saying that divorce can be a blessing as well. Now, when they say divorce is a blessing as well, would you say that in your case, I think we know the answer, but in your case, that was a blessing, the divorce, everything you went through, although, like you said, it was daunting, it was hard, it was everything, but in the end, it was a blessing.
100%. 100%. It was definitely a blessing. And I'm proud of myself, and I'm happy, and I'm going to say it out loud, that I am proud of myself for taking that step and showing people and my kids that you don't have to live that life, and you can become a better person by doing it.
Brilliant.
So definitely, I am happy.
And do you think it is, and do you think it is a generational thing? So this generation, our generation, well, not mine, you're obviously way younger than me, I'm very old at the moment. So, I mean, generation by generation, we need to change the status quo. We need to teach our kids what's the right, what's wrong, what's in the Quran, what is ism, i.e. culturalism, and what is proper Islam. And that's what we need to follow. That there are rights, there are rules out there that you can implement to make your life better. With regards to marriage, divorce, even to make the marriage a success, these are the things you need to do. If you think we can't make the marriage a success, you are going to go down the divorce route, these are your rights, these are the sort of rules, regulation. Generationally, do you think we need to have that shift?
Definitely need to have that shift. I think it's really important for both Muslim women and men to go from the Quran, look, read, learn, see what it actually says. Don't go by hearsay. That was my biggest mistake, by going by hearsay. This is what this person says. This is what this Maulana says, or this is what this person says about the Quran. I never actually took the time to read an English Quran and try to understand it. So get the knowledge, learn about it yourself, and everything will become clearer.
Right.
It will help.
Let me ask you a slightly controversial question here. how much is this, obviously the shaming, divorcees, divorce, etc., how much of that is culturally implemented? So how much of that is culture? We know none of it is from Islam. So when you say the actual culture, like, what would it have to take to change it culturally, that people move away from the culture, from the isms, and start moving towards Islam? What is it going to take for people to do that? What is it going to take for women, for men who are going through what you had been through, but because of this cultural divide, these cultural walls that we have, what is it going to take for them to break them down and start following Islam and look, actually, there's evidence there, go to the Quran, go to the Sunnah, go to the sort of scholars and say, this is what it actually says. What is it going to take? Because this is still exists, so what is it going to take?
Do you know what, Jav? Do you know what it's going to take? Literally, what it's going to take is to people to get the knowledge themselves. You know, I always say to every single person that I meet, learn about it yourselves. Don't go by hearsay. Tell your kids about the rights and the wrongs. You know, listen to yourself. Don't listen to other people. You're going to have to learn about it and tell your kids this is the right way, this is the wrong way. Maybe, you know, might cause an argument with the adults, with the elderly who are fixated on their ways.
Culture. They're fixated on culture. Because what is Auntie so-and-so 3,000 miles away or 5,000 miles away? What is Auntie so-and-so going to say? What is Uncle so-and-so going to say? And that's what needs to be dragged out. And what we need to put in its place is to say, go read, go educate yourselves.
Educate yourselves. Yeah.
100%.
That's all it is.
100%. I think that is what is needed. And in terms of your relationship with your children post-marriage, has that developed more? Because from my experience, obviously children can see when the marriage is going wrong.
Yeah.
So they, you know,
definitely.
So do you think what you've done is actually has taught your children that, you know what, you have to do the right thing, whether it's a difficult thing to do, but it's the right thing to do, because what you don't want to teach your children is that obviously it's a good thing just to stay in a loveless, hapless, you know, without any happiness in a marriage. But hey, let's stick there because what is Auntie Sugran going to say who lives 3,000 miles away?
Definitely. I think my children are much more happy and understanding of what's going on. I mean, kids soak up, their brains are like sponges, they soak up everything. And as a parent, you don't realize how much they are actually soaking up, you know? So you have to be careful with what you say to the kids. But going through my process, I had to speak to them because I needed them to know what was going on. So it wasn't a shock. It was a slow process. And obviously I didn't want things to get any worse. So it was a slow process. So speaking to the kids is definitely a good thing. Okay,
let me ask you a what-if question in case anybody's out there thinking, should we, shouldn't we? I'm not sure how to do this. What impact do you think it would have had on your children had you decided to stay in that marriage, which had no happiness, which was loveless, which obviously you weren't enjoy being there, being married to him? What impact would that have had on your children?
Well, my kids were suffering because of what I was going through, because I was in the dumps. I don't think they'd have had a mother if I stayed in that marriage.
Wow, that's well, you know what? I'm glad you're here, and we're glad and we're very, very happy and we're very, very grateful that you've obviously come out of the other side, and you're living testament that obviously you can go through a lot and you can come out the other end a much better, braver, courageous person that you are. And I think obviously life is a lot better now.
100%.
What last words would you say to anybody watching who is in the same predicament rather that you have been in? What would your closing words to them be?
I definitely say, don't doubt yourself. If you feel like there is a problem, talk about it. If you can solve it, solve it. If you can both come to a mutual agreement about things, then that's good. If not, you have the Islamic right to get a divorce. And believe me, when I say it was the best thing for me, it might be the best thing for you. It will be difficult, but Allah out there is watching and everything will be okay.
Brilliant, brilliant. Saira, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. Thank you very, very much. And I wish you all the best for the future. And I think I think your story is inspirational. And I think anybody watching out there who is going through what you have been through is going to obviously take a lot from that. So thank you very, very much, Saira, for joining us.
Thank you.
You take care of yourself. Brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us today on the first show. If you've been affected by any of these issues, as I say, if you've been affected, go to BritishMuslim.tv/support. There's plenty of links on there. Join us next week. Join us next week for more hot button topics that we'll be discussing. And inshallah, we'll see you then. Take care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum.